Okay, we're on the last one, Jenny.
Yeah. So, is there a topic you want to talk about, like movies or TV shows you watched recently?
Well, I think with acting, because we were kind of, this is what you were wanting to do with
Mm-hmm.
this. I just I think if a person wants to get into acting, there's the realism of it, right? I was talking
Mm-hmm.
to you before how it can be very doggy dog, it can be up and down, it can
Mm-hmm.
be fickle at times.
Yeah.
However, there's also that beautiful side of it. Okay. There can be
Mm-hmm.
times when you could be booking roles, doing lots of auditions, and everything's just rolling. And then there can come a time when it can be a little bit up and down. And that's when I always say, as actors, especially now with this strike, actors are scrambling for different jobs, like, as per se, regular jobs and not acting. Um, but because of that, so I always have on my side, something else that I know that I can go or do. And I think, and the reason why I'm mentioning this, because for an actor, you have to really make sure that you take very good care of yourself, both mentally and
Mm-hmm.
physically, especially for actors who are doing, I've had people come to me and I've talked to them about it, about if you're doing a lot of auditions or you're not booking, and then you're not
Mm-hmm.
getting any auditions, and then it's just really sluggish because a lot of actors can go in ruts. I've seen actors quit. I've seen actors that did well for 2.5 years, and then the next 2 years, there's nothing. I've seen actors go into mental ruts, and you've got to make sure that your mindset is okay. And what I always use, for my acting students and people that I teach, I always mention to them about my 4 Ps. And these are my 4 Ps. These are Janet's 4 Ps. I have people putting them on their fridge. They're putting them on their bedroom walls because it helps them to get out of that rut if you start to go into when things aren't happening. And let's face it,
Mm-hmm.
we're human too.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get upset, or sometimes you have a cry, and which is good. You let your emotions out, but you have to be really careful you don't go into the dark web with it all.
Mm-hmm.
So my 4 Ps are this. The first one is passion.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can do this in anything, in your personal life or any other type of job, but for actors, this is important. Hang on to that passion. There's a big flame that's going in your heart when you're working as an actor and taking on these roles and different characters and being on set. But when it starts to slide a bit, you do not want to let it flicker or go right out. You want it to stay on fire. And what I always say, keep the passion. Remember the first time that you did a class, the first time that you did an audition. Remember what it felt like and bring that back into yourself. The second one is perseverance. You have to be very perseverant with this type of a profession. Obstacles are going to come up, okay, where you're auditioning and you did the best audition, like I talked about before, but you're not getting chosen because of maybe hair or whatever. You got to persevere. Maybe you're getting some auditions, but you want to do something different, but you're not ready for that. You want to do a different type of character. You got to persevere through that. There's going to be obstacles, there's going to be barriers, but you got to persevere them and push each one as you go along. Third, patience. My mom and dad always used to say this: patience is a virtue. When you're young, you're going, oh, I don't have
Mm-hmm.
patience for that. Well, sometimes that can happen, especially when you're starting out in acting, because you're taking the odd class, or you maybe did a student film or a short film for starting out, and you just think, oh, okay, I've got now, I just want to go do it. But you got to be very careful with that, because if you're still green, if you're still newish, it shows up in the audition room. It will show up if you're trying to get an agent, and they'll wait a year or so because they know you're not ready. So it's really important to do background work, do short films, do student films, and things like that you don't per se need an agent to submit for. It's very, very important. So you have to be patience really is a virtue, especially in this profession for acting, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
things are going great, sometimes they're not. And when you're starting out, it's trying to get an agent, because everybody's looking for an agent, and then getting yourself in front of casting directors. So there's that. And then the last one, and I say this to my daughter, I say this to everybody, I say it to myself, is positiveness. It's being positive. I even take the positive out of a negative situation or scenario. You always learn from it. You will always learn from it. Even though you're going through something rough or something's happened, you will learn from it. Take the positive and what you can learn from that. It'll make you a better person. It will make you a better actor. I use my daughter's example, and now listening to you use an example, but I look at my daughter who in school went through the bullying. Okay, so she had to climb up that mountain. Then the academics, which she did really well, but she worked her butt off for that. Like she worked her butt off for it. But she did really well. A lot of the teachers used to say, boy, I wish people were like Jenny and doing their homework and having their assignments on schedule, but she did that. And then because she wanted to be an animator and a writer, she went on top of the mountain and she went to animation school and got 2D and 3D, became a 2D, 3D animator. And then she jumped into the clouds and she became a best-selling author and award-winning author. She kept persevering. She kept pushing every barrier that came or obstacle that came in front of her. She has always kept the passion in her, because she's still so passionate about her animation and all that she does with animation, and same with her books. And then positive, you know, through me too, she learns you have to take the negative of a positive, even though humanly sometimes we can't, but in the majority, you try to do that as best as you humanly possibly can. So that are my 4 P's for an actor, as well as in your personal life, whatever your obstacle.
I can relate to that, but I've started really doing that because I adopted this mantra. It says, if it's happening, the opportunity would have never, wait, hold on. If you weren't capable, the opportunity wouldn't have come.
Yeah.
I have adopted this in May, because May was very struggled. I had struggled, or April, I have struggled with some family stuff. And ever since April, my life has changed. Like, I think the biggest like change I can tell you is that I was suffering from agoraphobia for 3 years due to COVID. I couldn't go outside. Yeah. And it's gone thanks to a festival, my first festival. I went in June, but also this Egypt vacation. I used to take medicine for my panic attacks. I took like CBD oil, and I couldn't because it's illegal in Egypt. So I left it here, and I flew to Egypt with my family, and we stayed there for a week. And the thing which got me through, 1 was this mantra, and 2 was music when we were in restaurants, like because of the crowd. And I am a changed person now. Like I am so happy. And also this podcast like going so well, like you're my 4th guest now, and I'll have many more this month in August. So I don't know, I'm just so fucking grateful. Like I'm so happy.
Yes, I can tell you are. And that's a big thing too. When you're grateful and you're a good person, it works out for you that way. So that's very important. So you keep doing you keep being you. You're very intelligent. You've got a lovely, engaging personality. Just keep being you and take it day by day, step by step. Put those 4 P's in there, and also your own mantra there. Just intertwine those all together. Look, you speak all these different languages. Look how you're doing this with the interview. You know, so you're just amazing. And I think you always have to embed that in your heart and soul and your mindset. We have to do that even when we're going through stuff, or when people are saying something about us. You feel you just, you know, that's their problem. If you like being who you are, be who you are, and just have people around you that are positive and that respect you and that love you and that are there for you. And when you do that, you won't have that toxicity around you, and you won't have the negative around you, and you can be yourself.
Which is very hard, like given my situation.
Yes. Yeah.
And like I've like masked so much of myself all for, I don't know, like since I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I'm like slowly like coming to my like being my true self. And I feel very bad for that, like that it took me this long, that I didn't have the courage, that I didn't have the confidence. But I'm also very glad that it's happening now, because I don't know, like my 20s weren't as rose-colored as I wanted to be, but I'm like slowly, I guess I'm maturing. That's the umbrella
You
term.
do. And that's really important what you just said. Unfortunately, like you say, it didn't happen, when you were younger. However, it's there now. You're understanding it more clearly. You're working through it more clearly. You're doing stuff now that you want to do, and you learn from all that. It's each day is a learning curve, whether we have ADHD or autism or don't. Every day is a learning curve. We all go through something. Although people that do have autism and ADHD, they go through a lot. But I tell you, the resilience in these individuals and the
Mhm.
joy that you get from these individuals, it's just mind-boggling. Yeah.
It's very, it's so indescribably, like it's so hard to describe the what you just said, because sometimes you're like, oh, like am I way too loud, or oh, like am I, my family have always told me to be, when we're like going to visit some relatives, they're like, be quiet. You're too loud sometimes. You're too much sometimes. But then I felt, then I was this person who didn't say much, or was too afraid to be their authentic self, because then I would be like criticized. And
Yeah.
and I, like I said, now I'm just doing that. Now I'm just like, okay, slowly peeling my layers,
Yeah.
showing my true colors. But
Yes, you're like an onion. You're peeling all your layers
yeah,
off. You're being you now, and you be proud of you, and you
oh yeah,
accept. Yeah, and what you're doing, and I'm chatty Kathy. I like to chat, as you well see. And sometimes
yeah.
I have to stop myself, going, Janet, you're talking a lot. Like, stop. So it's something that you can learn and adjust yourself to things. Okay.
Mhm,
But when that's part of a person's nature, and I find it
mhm.
joyful when a person likes to have that chat, and they got things to say, they got things they want to make known, and there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, like I said, just be you. And any people out there that are wanting to act, don't ever give up on a dream. Like what I find with some people that are taking my class, they said, I never thought I would be able to do this. And now they're doing well. Like, they're doing background now, and they're getting into short and student films, and hopefully they'll go further in their career. But it's something they never thought they'd be able to do because they were fearful of taking that leap. And I
Mhm.
remember when I came back in my 40s, my family, my sister's going, what? Like, what do you mean? And my friends are going, are you serious? My boss even said to me, Janet, really? Do you really think you're going to get on a TV show? Come on, just stick to your day job. I wished I knew where he was now. I go, but then my friend said, well, maybe he's already seen you on TV or a movie. So I just said, so never give up. Never give up in whatever it is, whatever your dream is, whatever age you are. I mean, that's how I'd like to end your interview is that
Yeah,
is never give up on your dream. Always believe in yourself, trust in yourself. And hey, if you try out the acting and it ends up not being for you, at least you gave it a try. At least you won't, when you're 80, 90 years old, be kicking yourself going, why didn't I try that? I should have tried that. And then there's others where it works out for them, So I always say a person should really not give up on their dreams. Maybe they couldn't get it when they're younger, but why not? And I mean, I'm living proof. I'm an example
yeah.
of it. I mean, I came into it 40s to 50s with theater, where I acted and directed, and then mid 50s, I came into film and TV, and I'm still doing it. So, and I
Yeah.
never, ever, if anybody said to me, I would have been doing film and TV and all this other stuff, I went, oh, I don't think so. Because I thought too, I'm getting kind of older, but the opportunity presented itself. Someone saw me on stage when I was doing a theater play. Someone saw me and came up to me after the show and says, I got to introduce you to such and such and such and such. And the rest is history.
So with that being said, I want to thank you so much for doing this. And I like I said, like when I saw your name, I was like, what? Like, really? Her? Really? Because my association with you was the Sandra Bullock movie. I was like, her? Really? What? I couldn't believe it. And it's been I hope that you had fun, and it's been so much fun. Like it's currently like almost 4 a.m. here, but
I said,
I'm so
oh my God,
yeah.
you gotta get some sleep, you gotta get some sleep.
Yeah, I know, but it was so much fun talking to you. And if Jenny wants, I would gladly have her on the podcast, and we
Yeah,
could
she
like
just told me
geek
she'd
out.
love to be, yeah, she'd love to be on your show, and I'll give you her email address too. She'd love to meet you. Yeah. Yeah. And you guys, this would be great. You guys could become pen friends. You guys could have Zoom meetups and that, right? That'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be fun.
Yeah.
But like,
she'd love to
thank
meet
you
you.
so much.
She'd love to be on your show. She'd love to be on your podcast. Oh, you're very well. I love you. You're just a real sweetheart. And you enjoy the rest of your well, go sleeping. And we'll be in touch.
Okay.
We'll be in touch. Hey, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.